Hi everyone, my name is Elena Kachian. Today is Thursday, March 26, 2020. It is about 2:15 p.m. here outside of Boston. I'm in Massachusetts, so we're talking Eastern Time. I'm going to be talking to you today about 10 things that you should know to get you through taking a professional exam or an academic exam. But today I'm talking specifically about the Regulatory Affairs Certification exam. And these are things that I've gathered through my time of taking exams. I'm a holder of 3 RAC certifications, the US, the Global Scope, and Drugs, but I've also had experiences taking other standardized tests and also have tutored standardized tests. So I find that these tips are probably going to be applicable across the board for all of those exams. And I will be looking back and forth because I'm reading off of the post. I wrote a post on this blog, the link to which I've pasted below. So please, after this video, if you want to go and read that out of the comforts of your own home on your own time, please go ahead and do that. The link to that is below, and I would love for you to leave any comments. I'd really love to hear from you. All right, so the blog that I'll be reading from is called Taking the RAC Exam, 10 Things to Help You Get Through It, and I wrote it today. So it's, I hope you read it and I hope you like it. So this is very recent and new information. All right, so if you are taking the RAC exam or any other exam, the 10 things that you should keep in mind, number 1, is the study materials. So there's a ton of study materials out there, but the most important thing to do is figure out the kind of learner that you are. So I know that I'm personally a person who can teach myself, and the best results I get from studying is when I do practice exams and review those questions. So what I did was I just purchased the particular textbook for the exam. Okay, they usually have a recommended textbook, and I read through that whole textbook. I took notes, I highlighted, I studied my notes, and then I bought a bunch of the practice exams, and I took the exams over and over again, reviewing all of the correct answers that I got and all of the incorrect answers. And then as time went by and as I took more of these exams, the number of incorrect answers naturally decreased, because what I would do is for any incorrect answer, I would go back and read the section of the textbook that talked about that particular topic. Okay, so it's a great way to isolate any topics that you have an issue with. And really a good way to identify where your problems are and address them. Okay, number 2, study plan. So we all have busy lives. I mean, if you're taking any sort of an exam, you know that you don't have all the time in the world to sit there and study for it. That would be ideal, but that's generally not the case. And most exams have a recommended time within which you have to study. But again, in reality, you rarely have that time, okay? So it's important for you to make your own study plan that's tailored around your own schedule and your own life, one that is realistic for you, okay? One that you will actually get to, that is doable in your life. And the number of months that you have between the time you register and the time you take the exam is going to vary. So it's important that you tailor a plan around however much time you do have and stick to it. The important thing is that you stick to it, which brings us to number 3, which is discipline. Even if some days you just cannot get to the 2 hours you set aside to study that day, to read that chapter or to do the 10 multiple choice questions, even if you cannot get to that, make sure you at least do 15 minutes of it or something like that for that day, because you have to keep this information top of mind every day, and you have to keep this habit up every day. Okay, it's the only way to discipline yourself to study enough so that you have enough of the information to take the exam and take it successfully. So be sure to discipline yourself. And we all know that we can make time if we want to make time. So please, you want to make time for this because you want to see that congratulations notice come in through the mail or through email. You want that. So set aside the time, put in the time for it, okay? Number 4 is keep it quiet. So I went ahead and told everybody that I'm taking this exam, and then I thought, oh goodness, why did I? Because now everyone's interested to know how I did, and they want me to follow up with them once I get the results. And so it added unnecessary pressure, because all of a sudden I thought, well, wait a second, if I don't pass, now I have to relive the story of not passing to this person and that person, and it's just not something that I wanted to do. And ultimately, it didn't really matter whether I would have passed or would have not passed. It's just that thought, putting that pressure on myself wasn't what I needed at that time. So if you can keep it quiet, kind of study for your exam, and only tell the people who need to know, like your employer, if they're the ones you're taking the test for, or if they're giving you the day off to go take the test, then really that's all you need to do. Wait until you get the passing score to talk to everyone about it. I think you'll take a lot of pressure off of yourself if you just kind of keep to yourself while you're studying and prepping for the exam. Number 5 is get there early. I know this sounds like a no-brainer, and if anybody said that that's a tip that they recommend to me, I would think, well, yeah, of course. But it's very important that you get there early, especially in a situation where they specifically tell you that if you get there late or past a certain amount of time, they will not let you in. That's just how it is. They don't let you in because you will be disturbing the other people that are there. So you want to make sure you give yourself plenty of time. I personally give myself an hour. I get there 45 minutes to an hour earlier, usually an hour. Actually, I know it sounds like overkill, but it's important. It's important because you're going to want to be there. You're not going to want other, issues or obstacles getting in your mind. You want to be focused, and the best thing you can do is not rush getting to the exam. Give yourself plenty of time. Number 6 is the first question stumped you. That's what it's called. Expect that when you go into the exam that the first question will throw you off. So with these exams, they are difficult, and you're going to go in there ready to go. You have all this information, you studied hard, and nothing bursts your bubble more than getting in there and reading the first question and not even understanding what the question is asking, never mind having the answer for it. So you want to expect this, because the most important thing here is that it doesn't throw you off, okay? All you do is you calm down, you move on to the next question if your test allows you to go back and forth. In my particular case, the test did allow me to go back and forth, and so I was able to get back to the question. But in any event, don't let that trip you up. Just answer if you have to, move on to the next, or if you can go back later, because the likelihood is that as you progress through the exam, the answer will come to you, okay? But expect going in there that the first question will throw you off. And then that way you won't be surprised, and you won't be thrown off, and you can still keep your focus. Number 7 kind of plays off that number 6, which is mind games. So on a general level, these tests, any standardized test, any sort of professional test, are just as much of a test of your ability to keep calm and focused as they are of your knowledge. So be sure that you have a good grasp on your emotions and your thoughts, so that you're not letting them run wild, okay? Stay focused. Don't let any mishaps, obstacles, whatever the case is, throw you off, okay? You just get right back on the horse and keep going. You just keep moving forward and answering those questions, okay? Number 8, you will not feel good about it. Even if you did great on the exam, you will not feel like you did great on the exam. You will leave there feeling like very uncertain, okay? And the reason is because these tests, they're challenging, and the answers are very similar to one another. So even if you pick the right answer, you're never quite sure that it's the right answer. And what I do sometimes, and this is terrible, and I've kind of stopped that habit, but I try to go through it and try to number, just put like a note next to an answer that I think I absolutely got right, to make myself feel better, to kind of say like, oh, well, at least I know, I knew 60 answers, or I knew 60 questions correctly. Don't do that, because if you do that, your number will be very low, because as I just said, the number of questions that you're going to be certain about is going to be low. And the reason is, it's because the test is formed in a way where it's challenging, and you're never going to be certain that what you answered is the correct answer. because all the answers are so close and similar. Okay, number 9 is let it go. Once you take the exam, forget about it. Let it go. If you want to do anything, the only thing you should do is, if you found that there was a trend of the information that you weren't sure about, read up on it. And not for purposes of the exam, but for purposes of your own knowledge as a professional in that field. Just read up on it for your own knowledge, for future reference. But aside from that, do not rethink about the questions and the answers. Do not rethink how you did, or you could have, or you wish you'd done this, that, or the other. Just let it go. You have at least 3 weeks probably until you get the answers to the exam, if it's one of those exams where you don't get the answer right away. And the RAC exam is one where you don't get the answer right away. At least in the times I took them, I didn't. So don't put yourself through that for the next month or however long. Just let it go. Trust that the work you did is enough, okay? And then number 10 says you didn't pass, so what? Just remember to face that fear and that outcome right away. I'm not saying that will happen. Likely it will not happen. But the important thing is to just face that fear and put it aside, so it doesn't trip you up. It doesn't, it's not there in the back of your mind. Just let it go. Let it go. If that happens, you will take the test again and you will be more prepared for it. But just don't even have that in the back of your mind. Go prepare for it. Trust that you've done enough, that you've put in the work to pass, and that you will pass. The end. Okay, so those are the 10 tips. I wish you luck. And again, I would love to hear from you, so leave a comment. Once you read the blog, take care. Talk to you soon.